Like, do you know I'm a judge? Sure.
You are?
Yeah.
My son working from earlier.
Have you ever witnessed someone so wrapped up in their entitlement that they believed they were above the law? We're not talking about your run-of-the-mill entitled, but rather those who took it to a whole new level. From the high-flying elites to the everyday folks who believed they could bend or break the rules with impunity. These stories will leave you utterly spellbound.
Don't want him touching me. I said I don't want him touching me.
The forthcoming narratives promise to captivate your attention as we divulge the compelling stories of these individuals who, often through difficult experiences, realize that no one can genuinely claim immunity from the law. Join us as we unveil 5 shocking cases of entitled people realizing they are no longer above the law. Number 5. The 2019 college admissions scandal. In the glittering world of Hollywood, where fame and fortune collide, the 2019 college admissions scandal sent shockwaves through Tinseltown. 2 well-known actresses, Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman, found themselves entangled in a web of deceit and corruption that would forever change the course of their lives. The duo were not just your average celebrities. They were revered actresses who had made a name for themselves in the competitive world of showbiz. Both enjoyed successful careers on television and in film, and their popularity extended far beyond the screen. Lori Loughlin was best known for her role as Aunt Becky on the beloved TV series Full House. Her charming smile and endearing on-screen presence endeared her to audiences worldwide. Likewise, Felicity Huffman had made her mark in Hollywood with roles in shows like Desperate Housewives and acclaimed performances in various films. However, the glittering facade of fame often hides the human desire for more, especially when it comes to securing a future for one's children. It was this desire that led Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman down a treacherous path. Both actresses had the world at their feet, but they had dreams and aspirations for their children that went beyond what Hollywood could offer. They yearned for their kids to walk the hallowed halls of prestigious universities, names that sparkled with academic excellence. The pressure to ensure a bright future for their children was immense. In their pursuit of Ivy League dreams, they found themselves at a crossroads, contemplating actions that would ultimately lead to their downfall. The 2019 college admissions scandal sent shockwaves across the nation, unraveling a massive conspiracy that involved wealthy and influential parents, college coaches, and corrupt intermediaries. The scandal revolved around 2 main methods: cheating on standardized tests and falsely claiming athletic abilities to secure admission to prestigious universities. They were accused of employing both of these methods. They had paid substantial sums of money to ensure that their children's academic records were enhanced, allowing them to gain entry into some of the nation's most renowned institutions. This marked the beginning of their tragic downfall. As the scandal came to light, an intricate web of deceit began to unravel. Investigations revealed the complicity of several individuals, including William "Rick" Singer, a college admissions consultant who served as the linchpin in this elaborate scheme. Singer, who had established a network of connections within prestigious universities, presented parents with a tantalizing proposition. For a hefty fee, he promised to secure their children's admission by any means necessary. This included falsifying standardized test scores, forging athletic profiles, and bribing college coaches. They both fell prey to Singer's persuasive pitch, like so many other parents who were blinded by their aspirations for their children. The actresses, along with other affluent parents, paid exorbitant sums to ensure their children's success. However, they soon discovered that success, when built on a foundation of lies, is fleeting. The scandal did not end with the exposure of the deception. Legal consequences quickly followed, and the spotlight turned from Hollywood's red carpets to the courtroom. Both faced criminal charges for their involvement in the scandal. They were accused of conspiracy to commit mail fraud and honest services mail fraud, charges that carry serious penalties. Legal proceedings cast a shadow over their careers, and they were soon confronted with a life-changing decision: to admit their guilt or fight the charges in court. In an attempt to limit the damage and mitigate their sentences, both actresses chose to plead guilty. This choice, though difficult, set them on a path towards redemption and restitution. The legal system moved swiftly, and Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman were handed down sentences that reflected the seriousness of their crimes. Beyond the prison sentences, which served as a stark reminder of their wrongdoings, fines and community service were also part of the equation. Lori Loughlin was sentenced to serve 2 months in prison, while Felicity Huffman received a lighter sentence of just 14 days behind bars. In addition to their time served, both actresses were required to pay substantial fines, amounting to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Additionally, they were mandated to complete community service, fostering an opportunity for reflection and a chance to give back to the community that had once idolized them. The consequences of their actions served as a turning point in the lives of Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman. Behind prison bars and under the scrutiny of public opinion, they had the opportunity to reflect on their choices and the impact they had on their families, fans, and the education system. Both actresses acknowledged their mistakes and expressed deep remorse for their actions. Their willingness to take responsibility for their wrongdoing and their commitment to making amends were significant steps towards redemption. Number 4. Ian Smith's run-in with the law. Let us embark on a journey through the unfolding events of a fateful evening in the life of Ian Smith, a prominent figure connected to Congress, whose involvement in a drunk driving incident in New Jersey on March 27, 2022, thrust him into the spotlight of law enforcement. To truly appreciate the gravity of this incident, it's crucial to delve into Ian Smith's background. He wasn't just any ordinary citizen, but a gym owner who had made a name for himself by challenging the COVID-19 restrictions, which were a hot topic of discussion at that time. His actions had already gained him notoriety, but it was this particular night that would etch his name into the annals of infamy. The sequence of events that led to Ian Smith's run-in with the law began with what many might consider a typical evening. On that ill-fated night, Officer Scott, while conducting his routine patrol, noticed a black Hyundai swerving perilously on the New Jersey roads. The individual behind the wheel was none other than Ian Smith, a man who had previously made headlines for his challenges to pandemic restrictions. The evening started innocently enough with Smith indulging in a margarita, a popular cocktail. However, it took a disconcerting turn when Officer Scott spotted the Hyundai zigzagging on the road. The officer's keen eyes and years of experience led him to intervene swiftly. Remarkably, Ian Smith attempted to attribute his erratic driving to issues with his vehicle's suspension. This was a curious twist to the tale, a feeble excuse that would later be put to the test. Officer Scott initiated the conversation with professionalism, expressing his concern for Smith's erratic driving and the near miss with another vehicle. He displayed an understanding of the potential suspension issues in lifted vehicles, especially the phenomenon known as death wobble. In doing so, he sought to maintain a sense of order and control throughout the encounter. Officer Scott, realizing the possibility of alcohol consumption, inquired about Smith's whereabouts that night and whether he had consumed alcohol. Smith admitted to having a single margarita earlier in the evening, but the scent of alcohol on his breath prompted Officer Scott to delve deeper. In the quest for clarity, Smith was asked to step out of the vehicle for a field sobriety test. Officer Scott wasn't content with superficial answers. He was determined to uncover the truth. Smith was also questioned about any substances he might have used that evening, indicating the thoroughness of the investigation. Officer Scott, a seasoned law enforcement professional, decided to move the field sobriety test to a flat and secure location. This shift was critical in ensuring accurate results. With Smith's consent, Officer Scott commenced the horizontal gaze nystagmus (HGN) test, which involves asking Smith to follow the tip of a pen with his eyes. This test aimed to reveal any potential impairment and to rule out pre-existing issues with Smith's eyes. It was at this juncture that Officer Scott's expertise shone through, as he meticulously observed Smith's responses during the HGN test, taking another step towards unraveling the mystery of Smith's condition. The next phase of the field sobriety test was the walk and turn test. Officer Scott, in his clear and composed manner, explained the instructions to Smith. He demonstrated the starting position, which involved placing the right foot in front of the left foot and touching heel to toe. The specific steps to take were elucidated, with an emphasis on counting out loud and executing a series of small steps to turn around and return. Smith, though expressing some hesitation, ultimately agreed to undergo the test. However, it soon became evident that he was struggling to maintain balance and coordinate his steps. Officer Scott's calm demeanor remained intact, but the importance of precise and steady movements during such tests to obtain accurate results was highlighted. Officer Scott, unswayed by the challenges faced during the walk and turn test, introduced the one-legged stand test. He outlined the starting position with feet together and hands down by the sides, explaining the procedure. This involved lifting one foot approximately 6 inches off the ground while keeping it parallel to the ground. Despite the clear instructions, Smith's performance indicated a lack of stability and coordination. His visible struggles were a testament to the difficulty of this test. Officer Scott's professionalism and unwavering approach to his duties remained intact, even in the face of a suspect struggling to maintain composure. Upon completing the field sobriety tests and taking into account his observations, Officer Scott made the crucial decision to take Ian Smith into custody for driving while intoxicated. This step was rooted in a dedication to maintaining safety and order during the encounter, ensuring that the law was upheld and the public's well-being protected. Smith, confronted with the reality of his arrest, expressed frustration and confusion. He asserted his status as a congressional candidate in the district and demanded a breathalyzer test. Officer Scott, remaining composed and professional, calmly explained the unavailability of a breathalyzer test at that moment. Smith's repeated claims of importance and insistence did not deter Officer Scott from focusing on his duty. Ultimately, the evening's events led to Ian Smith being charged with driving under the influence, as well as reckless and careless driving. These charges served as a stark reflection of the consequences of his actions that night. In the grand fabric of events, Officer Scott's professionalism and commitment to upholding the law shone as bright beacons, ensuring that justice was served. In this narrative, we witness the collision of a notable figure's actions and the unwavering dedication of a law enforcement professional. Number 3. When a plane flight turns chaotic. In a recent incident that unfolded on January 8, 2023, a woman displayed a shocking level of audacity, seemingly relying on her father's position as a lieutenant as some sort of extraordinary power. Her actions took place during a flight where she was causing quite a ruckus, leading to her removal from the plane. The disruptive behavior included yelling, spitting, and using offensive language with the airline staff. But what happened next is truly remarkable. When the police were called to deal with this chaotic situation, it was a test of their patience and professionalism. The woman causing the commotion was a 30-year-old named Karina, and she appeared to be in distress, holed up inside a restroom stall. The responding police officer, in a calm and reassuring tone, engaged with her, making it clear that she was not free to leave and expressing genuine concern for her well-being. At first, Karina's initial responses indicated her discomfort and mistrust. It was evident that she was not easily going to cooperate. The officer tried to open a line of communication, trying to understand the situation better. Despite her skepticism, the officer reassured Karina about their genuine intent to help, and even asked her about the airline she was flying with, hoping to address her concerns. The officer's primary goal was to ensure Karina's safety and facilitate her travel to her intended destination. They encouraged Karina to step out of the restroom stall and engage in a calm conversation. The officer asked about the reasons the airline staff wanted her to leave the flight, hoping to get to the root of her concerns. Karina explained that she had voluntarily left the flight and didn't believe the airline crew had requested her removal. From her perspective, this was more of a power play, and she expressed her frustration. She emphasized that her actions did not involve the entire flight, but were instead an isolated incident. Throughout this exchange, the officer maintained a friendly and understanding demeanor, intending to de-escalate the situation and help Karina resolve her concerns. They wanted to make it clear that they were there to assist her, not to make an arrest. This was an important point because it helped to shift the tone of the encounter from a confrontational one to a more cooperative one. Karina's apprehension about the possibility of arrest, even without the officer explicitly stating it, demonstrates her awareness of the seriousness of her actions. She was well aware that she might have done something wrong, which is why she mentioned the prospect of being arrested. This situation serves as a reminder of how individuals often grasp the potential consequences of their actions even before official statements are made. It highlights the role of personal responsibility in legal encounters. However, Karina's refusal to provide clear and direct answers added confusion to the situation. The officer's attempts to understand her situation were hindered by her evading a critical question about whether she had consumed alcohol. This underscores the importance of clear and straightforward communication in such situations. Evading important questions can make it challenging for authorities to ensure safety and enforce the law effectively. Despite the officer's patient and friendly tone, Karina continued to be uncooperative and defiant. Her arrest for public intoxication came after she failed to provide satisfactory answers and resisted cooperating with the authorities. Her defiant behavior, including mentioning her father's position as a lieutenant, suggested a belief that her family connection could exempt her from the law. This highlights the importance of equal treatment under the law for all individuals, regardless of their background or family connections. The officers involved in this case demonstrated remarkable patience, professionalism, and dedication to their duty. They upheld the law, maintained order, and ensured the safety of the community, even in the face of a passenger who was uncooperative and openly defiant. This case exemplifies the unwavering commitment of law enforcement officers to uphold the law and protect the public, regardless of the difficulties they encounter. As the situation unfolded, it became clear that the officers were dealing with a challenging individual in Karina. Her disruptive behavior on the plane had already garnered a lot of attention, and it seemed like she was determined to make her encounter with the police equally troublesome. However, the officers remained steadfast in their commitment to their duty. The officers' calm and reassuring tone played a significant role in diffusing the situation. They didn't adopt an aggressive or confrontational approach, which could have escalated matters further. Instead, their demeanor conveyed a sense of empathy and a genuine desire to assist. This approach helped to establish some level of trust, even though Karina remained skeptical. It's worth noting that this encounter also highlights the delicate balance that law enforcement officers often have to strike. On one hand, they are responsible for maintaining order and enforcing the law. On the other hand, they must ensure the safety and well-being of individuals they interact with, even when those individuals may have been involved in disruptive or illegal activities. Karina's belief that her father's position as a lieutenant could somehow shield her from the consequences of her actions is a common misconception. It's essential to underscore the principle of equal treatment under the law, which means that everyone should be subject to the same legal standards, regardless of their connections or backgrounds. The officers in this case upheld this principle by treating Karina with professionalism and following the appropriate procedures. The arrest that eventually took place was a result of Karina's continued refusal to cooperate and her inability to provide satisfactory answers. The charges she faced, including resisting arrest without violence, assaulting a public servant, and public intoxication, were a consequence of her actions and behavior during the encounter. It's a reminder that the law is applied impartially and individuals are held accountable for their actions. This case serves as a valuable illustration of the challenges that law enforcement officers face in their daily duties. It showcases the importance of maintaining a calm and reassuring demeanor, even in the face of difficult and uncooperative individuals. It highlights the principle of equal treatment under the law and the responsibility individuals have for their actions, as well as the role of personal responsibility in legal encounters. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. The Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman college admissions scandal of 2019 shed light on the lengths to which some privileged individuals would go to secure advantages for their children. These actresses used their wealth to cheat the system, tarnishing their reputations and undermining the integrity of college admissions. Their convictions demonstrated that even celebrities could not evade the consequences of their actions, with Laughlin serving 2 months in prison, a $150,000 fine, and 100 hours of community service, while Huffman received a 14-day prison sentence, a $30,000 fine, and 250 hours of community service. The case underscores the importance of fairness in the college admissions process, reinforcing that wealth and fame should not exempt anyone from legal repercussions, and it prompted a wider discussion about the pressure and competition surrounding higher education. Let us know what you think about what we just showed you. Number 2. Judge K Hancock, the judge on the wrong side of the law. In a truly extraordinary case, an individual who wields immense power and authority, entrusted with the solemn responsibility of upholding the law, suddenly finds herself on the wrong side of it. Judge K Hancock, a figure responsible for dispensing justice, found herself amid an unforeseen and startling situation. One fateful day, her actions placed her under the watchful gaze of the police. What transpired on that day inside a Safeway store would forever alter the public's perception of this esteemed judge. Judge Hancock, whose duty it is to pass judgment and maintain order in the realm of the law, suddenly finds herself thrust into a realm of scrutiny. A concerned citizen, perhaps a vigilant Samaritan, stumbled upon a peculiar sight within the confines of a local Safeway store. The subject of their concern? None other than Judge Hancock herself. To the observer, she appeared unsteady, her steps faltering and her actions bewildering. This concerned individual, driven by a sense of civic duty, swiftly reached out to the local police force. Little did they know that their actions would set in motion a sequence of events that would profoundly shake the foundations of justice. Now let's delve deeper into the unfolding drama. As the police arrived at the scene, Officer Collins was immediately struck by the sight of Judge Hancock making her exit from the store. Her gait, rather than being steady and resolute, was a dance of uncertainty, prompting a new wave of questions. As Officer Collins inched closer, he observed her nearly losing her balance, her movements marked by an unsettling lack of control. In an attempt to unravel the mystery behind this baffling scenario, Officer Collins initiated a direct line of questioning, with a particular focus on the possibility of alcohol consumption. His inquiry was straightforward. "What's going on today, ma'am? We received reports that you were inside Safeway, walking around stumbling, and then you left the store. Can you confirm whether you've been drinking today?" Judge Hancock, her voice trembling with a mixture of anxiety and denial, steadfastly refuted any allegations of alcohol consumption. She attributed her somewhat unsteady behavior to a medical condition, specifically citing a seizure disorder. This episode underscores the significance of providing precise and comprehensive information when questioned by law enforcement regarding potential impairments. It's worth noting that certain medical conditions can mimic the effects of alcohol consumption, sometimes leading to misunderstandings. Unfortunately, in this particular case, the truth was not in alignment with her initial explanations. As Officer Collins pressed on with his inquiry, the threads of this perplexing narrative began to unravel. A new player entered the scene as a second officer arrived. Judge Hancock's disclosure about her alcohol consumption began to evolve, revealing inconsistencies in her initial statements. With each passing moment, Judge Hancock's story underwent further alterations, painting an increasingly confusing picture. As a second officer entered the scene, the inquiry into her alcohol consumption took an unexpected twist. She began to disclose her actual alcohol consumption, signifying that her earlier denial had been inaccurate. The second officer proceeded to administer a field sobriety test. This involved the judge being asked to balance on one leg while silently counting, a test of coordination and physical control. Initially hesitant, Judge Hancock reluctantly embarked on the test. Her demeanor showed growing apprehension and discomfort. The field sobriety test, a pivotal moment in this unfolding drama, unveiled alarming results. It raised serious concerns about her ability to safely operate a vehicle, given her apparent impairment. However, the most shocking revelation was yet to come when she was asked to blow into a breathalyzer. The officer meticulously explained the breathalyzer test and requested Judge Hancock's cooperation in blowing into it to measure her blood alcohol content. As the test progressed, her conduct became increasingly disconcerting, betraying her growing realization that she was in serious trouble. The numbers on the breathalyzer were staggering, a blood alcohol content level of 0.21. This reading was significantly higher than the legal limit of 0.08 in Arizona, signaling a profound violation of the laws she had solemnly sworn to uphold. Judge Hancock, the symbol of justice, was now on the other side of the law. In the wake of these revelations, Judge Hancock found herself facing not one, not two, but 4 DUI charges. Among these charges was a particularly severe one due to her extraordinarily high blood alcohol content. However, she opted to plead guilty to a less severe DUI charge, a decision that left the community deeply unsatisfied. Many believed that she was not being held fully accountable, especially considering her prior controversial statements in family court. As the legal proceedings unfolded, her sentence only added to the growing frustration within the community. She served just 1 day in jail and was required to pay slightly over $1,000 in fines. This lenient punishment perplexed many who had anticipated a harsher penalty for such a clear violation of the law. Questions also arose about whether she was receiving preferential treatment, given the serious allegations against a fellow judge. Throughout this turbulent period, Judge Hancock continued to receive her regular salary without performing her judicial duties. This perplexing twist in the tale further fueled public discontent. The notion that a judge could be involved in such a violation and still enjoy the benefits of their position left many wondering about the integrity of the judicial system itself. Number 1. The curious car accident involving an FBI agent's father. In a curious turn of events reminiscent of a previous case, where a daughter believed her father's status as a lieutenant would shield her from arrest, we encounter a peculiar incident on August 24, 2022. Here, a father perceived his son as an almost superhuman entity, all because his son was an FBI agent. This seemingly ordinary car accident would soon take a bizarre twist that left officers perplexed yet unwavering in their commitment to uphold the law. A seemingly routine car accident on a sunny day. 2 vehicles collide, but what appears as a straightforward situation takes an unexpected turn, leaving everyone involved scratching their heads. One of the drivers, the victim in this case, provides a detailed account of the peculiar events that unfolded to the responding police officer. The victim recounts how the other driver, despite the visible damage to their vehicle, initially denied responsibility for the collision. Instead of engaging in a typical exchange of insurance information, this driver chose a different path, a path marked by confusion and bizarre behavior. Then, in a move that left the victim bewildered, the other driver abruptly fled the scene. This behavior, while unusual, adds a layer of mystery to the situation. Why would someone leave an accident scene when their car bore the unmistakable scars of the collision? The victim was not ready to let this go without a fight. They attempted to take a photograph of the other driver's car for dispatch purposes, but their attempts were met with resistance. The other driver refused to provide any information, claiming that they knew exactly who the victim was. This raised eyebrows, as it suggested a bizarre level of familiarity between the 2 parties. The plot thickened as the victim revealed that the other driver had consumed a few alcoholic drinks before the accident. Despite this, they appeared far from intoxicated. This further added to the mystique of the situation, making it clear that something extraordinary was unfolding on that fateful day. The police officer, trying to piece together the puzzle, inquired about the victim's intention to pursue a crash report. Were they in possession of their driver's license and insurance information? The victim, showing a desire to follow due process, expressed a need for a crash report, primarily for insurance purposes. Perhaps the most perplexing detail was the victim's revelation that the other driver, despite consuming alcohol, showed no signs of being inebriated. It was as if this driver possessed some supernatural resistance to alcohol's effects. However, the victim decided to keep a safe distance from the other driver, understandably uncomfortable with their odd behavior and comments, including the unsettling assertion of familiarity. When the officer asked the victim if they wished to have the other driver arrested for the collision, or if they merely sought their insurance information, the victim chose the latter option. Their primary concern was not revenge, but rather ensuring that the other driver became more cautious, especially when considering the possible presence of children in similar situations. The situation, as described by the victim, started as an ordinary car accident, but quickly evolved into a bizarre encounter with a driver who seemed unwilling to cooperate. The driver's behavior was nothing short of bewildering. Their responses were marked by confusion, hesitation, and an overall reluctance to provide essential information. Yet, the officers were undeterred. They remained steadfast in their mission to uncover the truth and gather the necessary information, despite the driver's uncooperative stance. When they asked for the driver's identification, the responses were hesitant and mumbled, creating additional roadblocks for the officers. The officers made repeated attempts to obtain the driver's name and information, emphasizing the importance of cooperation for a peaceful resolution. Unfortunately, the driver responded with incoherent statements, offering no meaningful details to aid in the investigation. As tension continued to mount, the situation grew increasingly troublesome, culminating in a chaotic arrest. The driver's resistance escalated to the point where a physical struggle ensued, leading to the driver's unfortunate fall. This required the officers to exert extra effort to regain control of the situation. Despite the challenging circumstances, the officers exhibited remarkable composure and a steadfast focus on carrying out their duties to the best of their abilities. This incident serves as a testament to their unwavering commitment to maintaining law and order, even in the face of such bizarre circumstances. Upon arrival at the police station, the driver's behavior continued to baffle the officers. Moments of clarity were interspersed with episodes of confusion, creating a narrative that oscillated between vague threats and apologies. It was as if the driver was trapped in a state of perpetual uncertainty, a puzzling enigma that the officers had to navigate. Ultimately, the driver faced a slew of charges, including driving under the influence, DUI, obstructing identification, resisting arrest, leaving the accident scene, and even assault. The officers took the necessary and appropriate steps to address the driver's actions, ensuring that he faced the legal consequences for his behavior. Should individuals who flagrantly disregard the law face stricter penalties to set an example for others? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.